Today on Chesapeake Shores, we talk about all the exes converging, and we have special guest John Tinker on the show with us. Stay tuned.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to AFTERBUZZ TV. Yeah. We are here doing Chesapeake Shores Season 1, Episode 9, Season Finale.
So good.
Already it's over. Exes Mark the Spot. I'm your host, Marisa Serafini. You can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV. And joining me, I have...
Hey guys, I'm Renee Ariel, and you can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Renee Ariel, and check out my blog, catslipstickla.com.
So this was a really good finale.
What an amazing finale. It was so beautifully done. Oh my gosh. And so many, there's just so many new opportunities for season 2. Like, they planted so many seeds this episode.
Yeah. Were you thrilled? Were you satisfied with this as a season 1 finale?
Oh my gosh, yes. Totally satisfied. And I'm just like so excited for season 2. Oh gosh, it was just all of these characters. Like, we got so many people we've heard about, we didn't think we'd see for a while. Like, so many people came back aside from Graham, but I just loved that we just saw everyone this episode except for Graham.
Graham wasn't here, unfortunately.
She's in Ireland.
She's still in Ireland. I really enjoyed it. I think it answered a lot of questions that we had, especially when it came to Jess. And we saw some resolves at the end and some future things, a foreshadowing of what is to come.
Yes.
I liked it. I mean, and it covered the friends, the family aspect, and I think it hit all the emotional points of what a finale should. We were happy, we were scared at some points, we were like nervous at others.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, the way they ended the episode, just with the whole family together, it gave you closure. However, there are so many things left open-ended that you're like, but what about next season? Like, and so it's a cliffhanger, but you're also so satisfied because of how, like, sweet it was.
Yeah, it was so sweet. And, like, I love the family dynamic between all of them. And it was so awkward with the exes coming.
So awkward.
Like,
did you, was it just me and my TV screen, but I saw when I first saw Martin, I thought he wasn't wearing a shirt under his blazer.
No, I did not notice that.
It's like skin colored almost, and I was like, is he not wearing a shirt under that? And I was so confused, and then the next shot
flesh.
I was like, that's weird. Flesh colored t-shirt.
Flesh colored. I didn't notice it, but I mean, we got the return of, or like that was more so the first appearance of his character.
Oh my gosh,
but
I know.
The return of other people too.
Yeah, yep. Our fave, Lee. Back in town.
Lee, I know. You're not the biggest fan of Lee, but I liked how the last episode ended on a really high note. We had Trace and Abby together, and then of course Lee comes back. You're like, oh no, of course, just when they were getting good, you had to like throw Lee back into that and maybe mix it up a bit.
I know. I'm so happy that Abby and Trace are like back on. And I love that she admitted that she's like, I'm his girlfriend. I love that.
I love that too. And you know what? Also, what you listeners will love, we have special guest John Tinker on the line with us.
Hi, guys.
Hey.
Hi, John. Thank you so much for joining us.
Nice to be here. I wish I could be there in person, but I can't. I'm actually doing something for Hallmark, and I'm supposed to be writing, but so don't tell them I'm not writing right now.
We won't. It's our secret.
Secret safe.
And I wish I could tell you I was writing season 2 of Chesapeake Shores, but I'm not doing that either. Not yet, anyway. We haven't heard.
Don't worry. Not yet. We still have the rest of the year to do that.
I know.
We'll work that
Even
out.
though I'm ready for season 2 like tomorrow. So
I'm ready for it today.
Yeah, how quick can you write the season?
Let's say get the whole family back together. But yes, thank you so much for joining us, John. We love the season, we love the show, and everybody in general. But let's start from the beginning. Like, how did you get involved with Hallmark itself? Because we know that your manager, Stan Spry, correct? Like, really came up to you about the show. But how did you get involved in Hallmark?
Well, you're right. Stan did come up to me, and Stan, I'll take a moment here to thank him because he's been my manager now and a friend, even more, for a few years now, and he's really taken me on some adventures. I think the first adventure was with Will and Jada Smith on Hawthorne, and that was a great trip. And then I did another show with Jennifer Love Hewitt, who is lovely and smart and very talented. and now I'm here thanks to Stan. And he approached me and told me about a little bit about the show, and I researched the books, and through my wife's great encouragement and even praying about what kind of a job to take, I made a very deliberate choice to come to Hallmark. I know they've had their detractors in the past who would say that it's soft programming, that it's not cutting edge, and I would argue that right now, given the current climate and what everyone else and what most everyone else is doing, I think that this is very daring for them to stay their course, to deliver the kind of entertainment that they consider to be of value, to be of quality and of a family-friendly nature. And so I was thrilled when I got the chance to come and work on this show, because I quickly found that they are people of their word, and that they have a great deal of respect for their audience, and learning, as I have also by way of Twitter and Facebook, I've never, ever been around an ardent fan base for a network, a channel, the way that I have been around these folks who watch Hallmark. I've never, in 35 years, no one has ever said that. CBS, I'm telling you, CBS, that's my network. Or I really love Lifetime. And this has a rabid, and I use that not pejoratively, but in the very best sense of the word, a rabid fan base for all their shows. Again, and I think that goes toward the leadership at Hallmark and the clarity of their vision to deliver programs that their audience really wishes to watch.
Yeah, I mean, this show is so great for families because everyone in the family can enjoy it. There's so many different storylines going on that different people can relate to. What is your favorite storyline in this show?
What is my favorite storyline in the show? You know what? From week to week, I think it varies. I don't want to cop out there, but it varies. As we wrote the show, we all had our different storylines that became our favorite, and a lot of it just has to do with the synchronicity of the particular story you're telling at a particular time with a particular actor. And there's something about locking into each other, actor and writer and producer and director, that happens now and again, and it's sort of fun to do that, because there's something familial that happens, and you get to know each other, and you learn strengths and weaknesses, and as you go along, you just write the stories that seem to just sort of emerge out of that relationship. That's not to say we ignored any of the books that Cheryl Woods has written, and we will continue to be inspired by that series of books, Chesapeake Shores, each installment of which has a different title, of course. But we looked at these characters and thought, what appeals to us about them emotionally at any given time, in any given circumstance within the O'Brien family. And we just, first and foremost, I have to acknowledge and thank the cast. This is the most well-rounded, wholesome cast, and when I say wholesome, I just mean maybe holistic is a better way to say it. There's just, I feel like we have one of everything, and they can all do everything and anything, and from Treat to Diane Ladd and Barbara Niven, through all of the O'Brien kids and Jesse Metcalf. I just think they're astounding, and you can go to them for different things, and what's fun is to play different relationships under different circumstances with each one of them, and we've only just begun to explore that.
Yeah.
I think I tweeted something last night about seeing Jess and Kevin together, the oldest son who's known as sort of as a golden child for having everything together, who comes back and now is terrifically wounded, and Jess, who seemed at the beginning of the season for sure to be quite sort of a mess, and then somewhere around, I think it was episode 6 or so, she walks into the room when he's in bed, and she just says a couple of things about Chesapeake Shores, and you're going to get through this, and you realize that there is such a depth to that character that no one has realized before. That's what I like most, I guess. Not a particular storyline, but I like the surprises. Not only what the characters themselves learn about themselves, but what I learn and the other writers learn about those characters, and then pass it on to the viewers. Yeah. Boy, was that a long answer. Who's that old guy you have on the screen?
I love everyone who's been casted in the show. I think that they're all amazing actors, and so professional, and and just multi-generational of all of them, and a lot of them are very super experienced. But what was the casting process like for casting them in their roles? Were there anybody else that were considered before the ones that we see now?
Well, I have to say, I was not involved with the making of the pilot. That was written by Nancy Silvers and directed by Martin Wood, one of the current executive producers, and they cast it. Okay. And I was the inheritor of an incredible cast, minus the two brothers, of course. Barbara Niven, as you saw in the very final scene, makes an appearance, but so did the brothers out of the cab. And we interviewed a lot of guys for those parts, and many were really good, but none of them seemed quite right. And at the 11th hour, Brendan Penny came up. That was, I believe, Brendan was the last one to be cast. And before that, for me anyway, I won't speak for anyone else, but when Andrew Francis walked in the room, I've said this before, as soon as he opened his mouth, I thought that was Connor. And I know if you were to just talk about and take a poll of people and likability, there were people, I think at the beginning of the season, said, yeah, no, he's a brat and he needs to be knocked down a peg, and I don't know that I like him. But I hope, and I've read some of the social media comments, that they're come around, because Connor is starting to lose that chip on his shoulder. But there was something about him, and without reaching too high, too lofty a reach, I sort of thought of, in my mind anyway, Kevin was John F. Kennedy and Connor as Robert Kennedy. And Robert, as you know, had a lot of stuff that he wrestled with and had a lot of turmoil in his own life, whereas JFK was a bit more, he was easygoing, and he didn't wrestle with some of the things that his younger brother did. And Connor, who always has been the in the brother shadow, has, as we heard from Megan and acceded to by Treat at the end in the campfire scene, he's the one who's really the most O'Brien. He's got that thing in him, that fire that if he's not careful can cause great damage, but at the same time, if Connor can learn to harness it, will take him to great success.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. In this show, one of my favorite aspects are just watching the different relationship dynamics. I think we have so many fun dynamics going on, so many good relationships, so many awkward moments with characters. What is the most fun relationship dynamic for you to watch on camera? What's
the most fun?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm jaded. I'm sorry. I think first and foremost, it's Bree and Jess.
Yes. I love the relationship.
I just love them, individually or together. And I love the way Martin shot that scene, that sort of 12 o'clock high scene where they approach each other on the center between the B&B and the cabin, the cottage. And they're one of the rare instances we saw them having a showdown and at odds. But I think first and foremost, that's my favorite relationship. But not by far. I do like the brothers, although as guys go, and I like the scene when Georgia has left and Kevin is feeling really down and just sort of disconsolate. The brother just goes up there, and not much needs to be said, but they just toss the ball back and forth, and each brother knows he's there for the other, knows what the other is going through. Because, as you know, men and women, brothers and sisters, they all interact differently. I love that relationship. I saw just a peek at a relationship which we only gave you a peek at, which is when Jess was sitting on the desk in one of the episodes with Mick. I think it might have been 6 or 7. It was 7. And she picks up the photographs and she says, "Abby's so pretty and Bree's so talented, and what am I?" And Treat says, and Mick says, "You're my little girl." And just at that moment, Mick makes the mistake, unfortunately, of picking up the phone and answering a business call. I find that interesting, that relationship. I want to see what might have been said after that. I love writing the Mick Nell scenes. I think they have an incredible relationship, and you almost don't have to write anything. They're so fabulous together, Diane and Treat. I think that's a great relationship. And of course, there's Abby and Trace, and I feel like we really only now earned the place where we can start over with them. So much has preceded them, so much history, and I feel like they and we have all just scrubbed that. It's clean, it's over, it's done. Now it's time for Trace at this point in his life and Abby at this point in her life to work out their relationship. You know, as a single mother of two who's involved with this man who's trying to and ready to resurrect his career and possibly go into business with a man who is, who's a common denominator between the two of them. I think that's an interesting dynamic. So we all love playing with those dynamics, and they either come up naturally or, sometimes you just realize two people haven't had a scene together. We realize that Connor, little things like Connor had never really had a moment with Abby. And so after Connor, slyly gets her off of being culpable in any way with the DOJ, they hug. And that was something that Megan and I and Andrew were on the set with Martin one day, and at the end of the scene, it was supposed to end differently, but I asked them, I said, wait a minute, you guys have never even hugged. You've not had a moment together like that. And that was on the tip of their tongues, too. So that's where that hug came from. So, again, the relationship of the actors, their involvement with the family, and our inferences upon that family as storytellers, they all work together in hopefully some satisfying way to explore the family dynamics from week to week.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I know.
And we know from your posts, because you're very interactive on social media and Facebook and Twitter and all that, we know that you were recently up in Vancouver and finalizing these last few episodes of this season. Were there any moments or anything that were left on the cutting room floor that the audience didn't get to see, or a different storyline that we didn't get to see that you can maybe share with us?
If my wife were on the phone, she'd be laughing because I have a very spotty memory, and so to jog it this quickly, I can't really recall. I can tell you there was nothing big that was left out of the season, but there were some moments around the campfire, for instance, between David Peck and Bree. That scene where he says, don't we all just want to find someone who brings out the best in us? That was a longer scene, and unfortunately, we had to invest that screen time somewhere else, and I like that. Part of what was left on the floor was, Bree was looking at Kyle Cassie, her husband, of course, and had remarked about Kyle, who was playing Martin Deming, on the wardrobe that day, which looked a little underwhelming, to say the least, and so we on the set came up with this bit of dialogue where she's looking at Martin and she's saying David saying, he's witty, he's musical, he's sensitive, he seems great, and she says, yeah, but and a really bad dresser. I just noticed that, and then she goes on to talk about what happened here, and feeling that, well, not only knowing we didn't have the screen time, and feeling that we would probably explore Bree and Martin later about what happened here, and is there anything at all to reclaim, whether or not she goes to Chicago would be worthy of scenes and not just a little bit of a scene itself.
That's awesome. So the cast seems amazing, and it seems like everyone has really great chemistry on screen. Do you have any funny stories just from set?
It's like your brothers and sisters, and unfortunately, so often I'm not allowed. I'm not on. I can't get to the set. I'm usually back in the writers' room or just off away from them, and they're just having the best time because they all really care about each other. And you guys are both well too young to remember this, but in the early days of telephone, you didn't have your own line. You had a party line, and you had several people who shared one common telephone line, and was always open. So you might pick up the phone and hear the neighbor's conversation with another neighbor down the way. Well, we sort of have that with our texts, and we'll just leave a party line open of texting, and every now and again, someone will pop up a text, and then someone will answer, and it's just really wonderful to watch them all interact. When Amelia went back home, Lacey's dog sat for her, and they're just there for each other. I mean, they really care for each other. And so I don't have any specific stories, but what you see sort of is what you get. And right from the very beginning, from that campfire scene, which was written, you know what? I think it was written before the first read-through. But if not, I could certainly understand it was written after the first read-through, because that was the dynamic in the room when we had the first read-through. It was very clear they all worked together and they all liked each other. And it doesn't mean it's all perfect, but they really do like each other. And they're young, which is great, and they're ready to explore the dynamics of acting and of character, and they'll push themselves and they'll ask to be pushed. At the same time, you've got folks like Diane and Treat and Megan, who have been doing this a lot longer, and they look to them as mentors, and yet the mentors also look down to the other generations for what they're doing. And even the little girls, the kids, the Magnuson girls are so remarkable. They have such a unique natural ability, which I've only seen, at least personally, before with on Chicago Hope with a very young Mae Whitman, who went on to Parenthood and does so many things. Was in the movie Hope Floats with Sandra Bullock. She just had natural ability, and these two young Magnuson girls have such natural talent that this is just the very first start for them on a very long road, I think, if they choose to continue acting. Nothing, a career, by the way, I encourage anyone to go into unless you can do nothing else. Because as fun as it is, as great as it is, as rewarding as it can be, wow, I don't know how actors do it. It can wear at you, and it's really hard. I have the greatest respect for actors now, even more so after having worked and seen the process of our cast.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I think the great thing with this show is that it covers a lot of universal themes, and it's very timeless, which is amazing. And I think that's why the show will last through and through, and over all these years, And the show covers, community, family, forgiveness. Can you elaborate a little bit more on what you want to bring to the show based on those themes?
Yes, I can. Initially, when I came aboard, I proposed the idea of doing the first 8 episodes to cover the 4th of July, where the pilot movie left off, to Labor Day, those 8 weeks of summer, and for it to be really character-driven while telling stories, and wanted everyone to get to know those characters. If and when we should be fortunate to have a second season, what would be great for me at least, and we'll see what Hallmark thinks and the other writers, and I'd love to bring more stories in, build up the stories a bit more now that we've really gotten to know the characters, and still have it character driven and tell universal stories. I worked on a show not long ago where we sort of took a different tack writing. And I love learning from other writers, and I've learned from some of the best, being from Tom Fontana to David Kelly, and this other writer with whom I had worked recently, Richard Lagravenese, when we were doing a show called The Divide. We approached every script, every scene, every moment emotionally, rather than what needed to happen for the story to move on. And while we wanted emotion and character to drive the story, we didn't want to lose sight of the story, but at the same time, as I said, we didn't want it just to be, well, what happens next in the story, or how do we get them moving next? And we tried to do it this season with emotion that would carry them to the next movement, to the next scene, rather, to the next moment in their life. Connor being one of them, Connor being a guy who feels he's got something to prove, and so everything about Connor this season was driven by his need to prove himself. And he, latching on to this thing with Abby, he saw an opportunity for him to really sink in. And yet, just before the ultimate scene, or even the penultimate scene, you see him look in the funhouse mirror, and he convinces, he's trying to still convince himself that I can do this. I can do this. The character is what is first and foremost of import when it comes to the show. And as you said, when it comes to character, what are the universal stories about loss and life and laughter and love that we can tell, and tell those stories in an engaging way that will resonate with the audience. I always think that if you can entertain, that's your first goal. But then if you can sort of encourage the audience and inspire them, I think it's that much more of an honor and a privilege to be able to try and do that, to try and elevate the material to a place that really, when people tune in at the end of the show, will feel they've spent their time well. And if they go away arguing about a show, an episode, a particular episode, or disturbed by it, I guess that's okay too. At the same time, just so long as they're engaged, and it engages them in a positive way in their life, so that we're all learning from one another. That's one thing I love about social media, to read the comments and engage with the folks, in particular on the Fans of Chesapeake Shores Facebook page. They'll say things about the show that will pique my interest or cause me to have my own questions about various things. And not that one would ever want to drive the show by social media, but you can't ignore it either, because you're sending something out and you're getting something back, and you need to listen to that. Whatever you've sent out, it comes back, and you want to listen to how the audience is responding and what they're saying. By the way, and I can't believe how caring these people are on the Facebook page. So caring, and a lot of the talk, and I love this, a lot of the talk isn't even about the show. It's about the hurricane, or people who need prayer, for people who are for their relatives in the hospital, or they look at photos of their dog. I mean, they're just family. And I originally had sort of, I don't know if that I coined the word family, but I then I now call them family, because they feel more than just fans. They really feel like family. And this past week or so, I've been having not to be on that site or Twitter as much, because I'm having to write this Hallmark thing, and I'm under a really intense deadline, but I'm having withdrawal. I gotta say, I'm having withdrawal. And there are fans on there who feel like I know them. I'm sure I think they feel like they know me, and they do to a degree, and I do them to a degree. But it all speaks of, we're all talking about the same stuff when it comes to family, and hopefully, as the characters, as our actors, portray these people, we can continue to talk about things that concern people, and that make them laugh and make them cry, and hopefully we can accomplish a little bit of good, and besides just entertaining and bringing some light into their house, which I always wanted to do, which was in part a very big reason for me coming on to this show, because I've written plenty of hours of television which I think don't probably bring a lot of light into people's houses, and while I'm proud of them because they were tough issues and tough stories to tell, I'm having a good time here at Hallmark, trying to entertain in a way that the whole family, I hope, is happy about. I mean, this is a company that was started 106 years ago and continues to be one of America's most recognized and trusted names. And I mean a name and not just a brand, but the name stands for something. Crown Media stands for something. And I hope that I continue to understand what they want to bring to the screen, because it sure would be a privilege.
Yeah. That's wonderful. One thing about Chesapeake Shores, I love that Chesapeake Shores itself is a character on its own in the show. It's beautiful there. I want to live there. What went into finding your very own Chesapeake Shores?
The folks who were involved with a pilot, with a movie originally shot in 3 disparate locations in Vancouver on the mainland. And Vancouver is quite congested. So in order to move crew and trucks and actors from location to location, it became impossible. So we knew we had to find some other answer for series television. And Matt Drake, the producer of the show, had a long shot idea. And so he and I and Dan Paulson and eventually a director or two and a DP all made a number of trips over to Vancouver Island, to Victoria and Nanaimo and Qualicum, and looking for these locations, and finally found, I think we found first the O'Brien house, and then we found the B&B and the cottage, which are on the same piece of property. I don't know if you knew that. And then we also found Tracy's cabin. And they're all within a relatively short distance of one another. So it was a matter of just searching. We went by plane and by car and by boat, and we found them somewhat early in the process after going to the island, but still kept looking because we were fearful that getting trucks and equipment and wardrobe and all kinds of things that happen on a daily, if not a weekly, if not daily basis, was going to be problematic. But because of Matt and a number of other people who really worked hard to coordinate, we had a great crew, and they made it happen. And so that's what went into it. Sorry to disappoint those folks, and I understand it doesn't really. I mean, there are no mountains in Chesapeake, Maryland, and some of the trees are different and things like that. But I've been on the Facebook page and just adjured people, if they can, just to enjoy the beauty that we do have, and it is beautiful. And I said to my wife last night, we were watching, and even one of the scenes that was shot in very direct sunlight, which typically you don't want to do, but it was so beautiful, and the colors popped, and that's in part not only the natural colors, but it's in part due to Tink and his art department. And again, I'm just if we come back a second season, I have great trepidation. I want this same crew back, and I hope that we can. There's so much film and television production going on in Vancouver that it's hard to predict and make that happen, but we're going to try if we get the chance, because it was just great. And we also want to make Chesapeake Shores, the town, a little bit of more of a character. We want to see Sally again and see other people in the town and have our characters in that town. So not just have Chesapeake Shores be someplace pretty to look at, but someplace fun and engaging with which to spend time.
Yeah, well, I definitely believe you have truly mastered that.
Yes.
This is such a great show. Congratulations on the success of the show. Everyone watching, breaking records for Hallmark. We're definitely still going to keep tuning in once there's a season 2. I'm saying it now. It's going to be season 2.
Thank you.
But yes, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
In the meantime, where can everyone, all your fans of the show and of you, follow you on social media?
Well, thank you, and please, I just need to take once again an opportunity to thank everyone who's tuned in there. Any records broken, that's all because of people tuning in and spreading the word, and we'll try doing our very best to continue giving you the kind of show that you seem to be responding to. So thank you very much from all of us. It means a great deal to the cast and the crew, and is so particularly gratifying and humbling. So thank you, guys.
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing us such a great show.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us.
Absolutely. Talk to you again someday soon. Maybe I'll be able to be out there and join you.
Yes,
yeah,
we'd
absolutely.
love
We'd love to
that.
have you in studio, and we'll definitely be tuning in. And keep up with everyone on Facebook and, Chesapeake Shores fan page.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Jen.
Alrighty, take care.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Excellent.
Oh my gosh, he's great.
So insightful.
I know.
I love it. So much to talk about too.
I know.
We'll quickly just go through this and power through. Drink your coffees. Let's go.
Let's do this.
Let's just quickly cover Jess. Jess, we finally learned that yes, I was correct with my prediction. She had a water incident. She fell overboard sailing
On the citation.
on the citation. She's still having nightmares about it.
Yeah, it's crazy to think that when Megan asked her about her dream all the way back many episodes ago,
Pilot.
we didn't think anything. Oh my gosh, it was in the pilot. We didn't think anything of it. We're like, okay, well, it's a mother scene. We didn't know that dream actually is very relevant. And oh my gosh, a big deal. And something she is still struggling with. It's a nightmare. But
But I think now she can struggle with Kevin. Now that they both have something very similar together, and I love that moment between Jess and Kevin. Where it's like,
Me
if you
too.
need someone to talk to, I know what you're going through. Your life is never going to be the same. It is going to be different from here on out. But
Yeah.
we can talk about it and work it out together.
yeah, also Jess and David, it was super awkward. She said, what did she say? Oh yeah, I need coleslaw and I needed to break up. That was what she said. I was like, girl. It was cute.
But now that David is a chef at the B&B, after the cookout audition, whatnot, do you think that'll change their dynamic, or it won't change anything?
Between Jess and David?
Jess and David, Jess and Bree.
Yes, I think this is setting it up for them to just kind of bond and develop feelings in a more organic setting where it's going to happen over time. And then I think that will also contribute to the love triangle that will definitely continue on, I think.
I don't think it's really a triangle anymore.
I think it's going to be. I think him as the chef, yes. I'm so happy he's a chef, though, because I really want him to stick around. I really love his character.
I really like him, too, and I really like David with Bree.
Me, too.
And we even got the line with Jess. She's like, if you want to date David, go ahead, so it just kind of did give the okay. So I'm all for David and Bree being together.
Me too, but I love the love triangle and I'd like to see that more.
It's more like a love quadrilateral now.
I know.
Bree's man, or ex-man,
Martin.
husband, Martin, I love how he comes up and just surprises her. In that moment she's typing on the typewriter and she's so smiling and she was in the groove, and
then he says, Bree, and then she just stops.
Completely stops.
So great.
The smile just drains from her face, completely stops writing, and we've seen those episodes where she's having writer's block, but now she's totally free and creative.
Writing.
And the second that Martin came back into her life, completely ruined it.
Ugh,
And
I'm
no,
already sick
Martin,
of him.
you've already stopped Bree from doing something that she loves. Move on. But now that we know that Bree has a playwright position back in Chicago, do you think she'll take it?
No.
No?
No. I mean, maybe I'll say that for predictions, but no.
Yeah. Well, then she was also maybe contemplating moving back to Chesapeake Shores.
Oh,
so.
yeah. She'll be moving to Chesapeake Shores for sure. Especially with David.
Yeah.
She gotta stay for David.
She's gotta stay for David. But I love that moment where there was that slow buildup of Martin saying, I know this is something you've been wanting for 7 years. She's like, no. And I'm yelling at the TV out loud. I'm like, no.
No, don't
you can't
propose
come
now.
back and
But the thing is, we'd believe it because he's clearly an idiot. When he first came in, he's like,
Right.
I came to apologize again. And I want to say this again. Maybe if she already said no so many times, you should just let it go. You cheated on her. And you have another girlfriend. Go home.
Yeah.
Go home, Martin.
I like Bree. And I think
Love
it was just
Bree.
great acting from Amelia during that one moment
Yes.
where she was like, no, I was that girl. I was that girl who
Loved
waited
that.
7 years for you to marry me. And it was just
was
a real raw
heartbreaking.
moment. I was like, you
Yes.
go, Bree, you tell him.
Tell him.
I was like, don't take him back.
I know, but I just don't even want him to be anywhere near that family. I just want to go home.
I think Martin needs to leave. But
Martin and Lee could get together and move far, far away.
well, it seems like Connor and Lee now. You see how
Connor!
hard Connor was hitting on her?
So hard. Okay, Connor, you had that nice lady from law school. Go back with her. Don't. Stop with Lee. Go. Lee does not need to be here anymore.
You don't give Lee a reason to stay.
I know. Please.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
But true.
Of course, Lee finds another reason to just come back to Chesapeake Shores unconveniently.
Of course she does.
You know,
And she's like,
inconveniently.
I just don't like the way she like talks to Abby. And she's like, oh, this isn't weird for you, is it?
Well,
Why would it be weird for her?
I'm glad that Lee had that self-awareness that this can be very awkward between
Why?
Trace and Abby.
But here's the thing. We understand it because we've seen her hitting on Trace hardcore. But the fact that when she says that to Abby, it's implying that like they have history.
Well, they kind of do.
Yeah, but Abby doesn't know their like romantic history. How is it? Okay, here's the thing. If they were strictly friends, nothing romantic, why would it be awkward? The audience knows that she was like, kiss me, love me, be with me, I came for you.
But
Abby doesn't. She only got jealous because she saw them together at the cafe.
Yeah, but on the flip side, the audience knows that Abby would get jealous knowing Lee's presence is there. So if it makes things awkward between Abby and Trace again, I mean, I'm just kind of glad that Lee had that self-awareness, like, hey, I might be messing something up.
I think she was doing it to be manipulative. I think she's like, hope this isn't
Really?
weird for you. Yeah, because I think she's so confident about it. Like, I'm going to get him and make him mine and marry him. And, like, she freaks me out. So I honestly think, like, her being like, hope this isn't weird for you is like, we have a connection. So I hope this isn't weird for you. That, like, we get along really well and have a lot of history. But, you know, you dated a long time ago. Like, I feel like that. I don't know. I don't like her.
Yeah.
Don't like her.
So that's the second ex. What do you think of Wes, Abby's ex?
When did he become likable? When
He's like a pen pro.
When did he, like, he's all apologetic, so I have some predictions with Wes now.
Gives Abby full custody.
Okay,
or
thanks
like
to
gives
Connor.
up the yes, but
We think.
well, I mean, we did have that nice genuine moment when they're walking on the shore, and he's like, I understand why, like, what Chesapeake Shores mean to you and the girls, and this is your home. This is like where you can be happy and be a family. It's like, I want to give you that opportunity. And like the fact that he's like, he was gonna give up his petition for full custody, I was like, yeah, good, because he realized how good it is, Chesapeake Shores is for this family.
Yeah, and it was just, I don't know, it was the first time I saw a side of Wes that I liked and could put up with. Also, he's now moving there. Oh my gosh.
Well,
that's good though. That is good to be closer to the kids.
Up the coast.
But like, how far up the coast? I feel like he's saying that and he's gonna be, oh, I'm your next door neighbor. Like, I feel like that's gonna be the situation.
Well, it wouldn't be far-fetched because everybody seems like their neighbors there.
Yep.
It's that family. Yeah, I'm glad he's not moving in New York. He will be closer. There was nothing about Wes's character in this particular episode that made me dislike him.
I know, which I was not expecting.
I was thinking about you in this. I was like, I wonder how Renee's gonna take
I was
this.
so confused.
He's actually likable.
I know, that whole scene when he's like apologizing, and I was like, what is happening? What is going on, Wes? Man, if only all the characters I don't like would have a moment like that. That would make me forgive them, make them redeemable.
Yeah, so that was the third ex. What do we think? Getting away from the exes a little bit, what do you think of Mick and his financial problems or business problems?
Solved.
He goes all the way up to Boston. Or was it Baltimore?
It was Boston, I think.
One of those B words.
I think it was Boston, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
He goes to Boston because the brother Kevin and Connor are thinking of moving to Baltimore.
Okay. Boston, yeah.
And like works out his problems with his business or, you know, property, land that they're working on up there with his partner, working that out.
Yeah, well, I love that scene simply for two reasons. One, I like that they really emphasized how big of a loss this would have been if it didn't work out. Like, he even said, like, well, you can tell her you want to, like, keep the house or something like that. Telling us as the audience that if he, like, this is why he was so stressed out all week. This is why he was freaking out, because maybe they would have lost the house they all lived in. Maybe they would have actually lost everything. But also, is it just me? Did you find it so weird when he kept bringing up Candace as if Candace is a character that maybe will come up later, like they have history? Her and Mick.
Candace has a say in the business as well, and we just don't know it.
I feel like it's Candace. I feel like Candace and Mick had like a past relationship of some sort, because he was really weirdly bitter about whenever he brought up like Candace, like, well, what would Candace think? You want to tell Candace? Do you want to wait till Candace comes home? It was so weird that it makes me think that Candace actually played a part in Mick's past. And I want to know more about that.
Oh, interesting. I didn't even think about that. I thought about the guy just like adhering to his wife.
No, watch it again. I'm telling you, when he kept bringing it up and like, well, do you want to wait till Candace comes home? It was
Candace
so weird.
Okay.
Because I feel like they wouldn't do that unless they were trying to like make some kind of point, I think.
Well, I did not see that, but
Watch it back and text me.
I will. I'm glad that got resolved, so hopefully Mick can just go back to work and actually back to his family.
Yes.
Which I did love that end scene.
Oh, it was so
when
cute.
He's talking to all of them.
Tells them all the reasons why he's proud of them. I mean, that moment was a moment I've been waiting for all season, and I loved it, and that was just a perfect way to end the season, is just with them all together.
Yeah, and like he's actually pointing out like the best qualities of each of his kids. And I think it's so great from going from what his character was in the first episode. Like everyone was so distant, slightly bitter that he was always gone, but the fact that like he's done his best. But now that yes, he spends so much time with them, he's the perfect person to like point all these qualities out and actually truly embrace that family.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And they embrace his words. And I thought that was just like a great way to end the episode.
So great to end the season. I mean, what a sweet moment. And I just loved, I mean, out of all the moments, I just loved his moment with Connor, because I really needed to see that moment with him and Connor, because the only times we've really seen them talk is when they end an argument, and this was one of the first times it didn't, so it was great.
Right, and of course we can't end the episode without what happened to Trace. He got arrested.
So this is how he's going to end up back in Nashville. He's going to have to deal with these unresolved issues. I think that's why he got pulled over, right?
Yeah, because that's all we heard was an outstanding warrant. Warrant of what? So that begs the question. His car accident, was he actually drunk? And that's why he's like an actual DUI and he can't actually legally drive and he shouldn't be driving?
See, I would like that, but I feel like, I don't know, because he did disclose this information to Abby and it didn't feel like he was holding anything back. I feel like it would almost be weird if that really was part of it.
Breach of contract.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
His company is actually suing him.
Yeah, and then I think that's why he's going to have to go back to Nashville, and then maybe Lee will say something that will cause, because there needs to be some sort of drama in Abby and Trace's relationship. There needs to be a setback, and this is the setback.
Yeah, I mean, it was just unfortunate how he ended his character. It's like, no. He's not even with his family because he rushes to the hospital to go see his father. And we don't even know his father's condition, if he's okay and whatnot. And then he also leaves family and the rest of the O'Brien family in the dust. So I'm like, oh no, he's left for himself, that he's just left alone.
Yeah, Trace had a rough
Arrested,
night.
Yeah. And so we need a season 2 to answer all these questions.
Yeah. For sure. I'm so excited. I mean, there's so many opportunities for the different storylines in season 2 that I'm like already so excited about.
Yeah.
When they introduce all these new characters, they haven't introduced new characters per se, but characters we've heard about or seen but like haven't seen recently. When they all come back and they're all in the same town, that is drama that I want to watch on Sunday night.
Some more drama. I mean, I think we're getting some resolve between the Meg and Jess drama. Because we did see that moment where Jess is actually opening up to her mother and talking about the citation, something that's very personal to her and something that like obviously rocked her so young. But the fact that she's opening up to Megan, it makes me think in season 2 they can actually get fully resolved. Yeah,
I think honestly I was also waiting for this moment as well, because we knew that throughout the season Jess and Megan would have definitely their issues. They still have their issues, but like it's just a step forward, which I really like. I like that the relationship is moving forward, and I'm so happy. And that was such a moment to take in, because oh my gosh, she opened up to her mom. They had a moment. It was great, and the relationship can only get better.
And another great moment was Bree, oh my goodness, all these names. Abby, when she painted that mural in the girls' bedroom. I love how she's spending more time with the daughters too.
These scenes with her and the girls, like I love.
Adorable.
So sweet.
Adorable. And like the whole cookout scene was amazing. Just everyone together, the different
So cute.
dynamics. It was definitely like one of those things that everyone has to get together, especially in the last episode of the season. I really enjoyed it.
Me too.
But
Just a great
anything
episode.
else?
No.
Yeah, all right.
Honestly, I think we covered it. It was just such a good season finale.
Yeah, it was. The quick news and gossip.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Yes. So we had on Home and Family last week. We had Lacey Maley and Megan Ori made an appearance on the Home and Family on Hallmark, which was great. If you guys tuned in, they talked about the characters, they talked about the season and like how well it's been going for them. Lacey told everybody that she eloped in Vegas, and
Oh my gosh,
her husband was in the
awesome.
audience too. It's actually a really cool interview. You guys should go check it out.
I need to go check that out. I missed this.
I missed it too, and I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
they're literally 5 minutes away.
I want to hear this. I know, seriously. I want to hear this
Like,
story.
how was I not in that audience?
Where was I?
I missed it. I was
Another
like-
pen drop.
But it was a very fun interview. Guys, definitely go check it out.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and watching us every week as we go. What are your last predictions?
My last predictions are that, well, next season, I think we're going to continue with a little bit of the love triangle. And I think that Wes is going to try to get Abby back next season, but it's not going to work. But that's, my prediction.
Oh, I don't want to see that happen. I think because Trace was kind of left in the dust, he has to call up Connor to bail him out, being that lawyer.
Ooh.
Yes. And I think relationships will evolve and get resolved.
Agreed.
A lot of different relationships. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Thank you
all
so
season
much.
long. This is such a great show. I love
Yes.
Hallmark. In the meantime, where can everyone keep following you?
Hey guys, you can follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Renee Ariel, and make sure you check out my blog, catslipstickla.com. I just did an article, Where Are They Now? The 7 Dates in 7 Days.
And you can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV. You can follow all of us here on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all those fun social media platforms at AfterBuzz TV. Keep rating, keep commenting, keep talking to us. We love Hallmark. We love the show, Chesapeake Shores. Thank you to John Tinker for joining us.
thank you so
for our
much.
finale.
Woo.
And we will see you next time when we come back for season 2.
Season 2. Bye guys.
Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.